Hey guys, welcome back to Ray's Creek Cards. I hope that the card we do together today will be inspiring. I hope you like the design that I have come up with. We are on Christmas, and I've been playing around a little bit with the Merriest trees. I gotta tell you, I've got even more ideas for using this set. And, time will tell if I'll get to go back and revisit this. But we have so many wonderful Christmas goodies in the mini catalog. And so we'll just see how things work out. But yes, so the star of today is going to be the Merriest Trees bundle, because I am also going to be using the dies. However, I'm also bringing in the Tiny Christmas Trees die. It is one die. It is what I would call a cover plate die, okay? So we're going to be using that too. And I wanted to bring in the sentiments from the Night Divine and mix them with the sentiments in the Merriest Trees, okay? We'll see how this goes, right? And here's the color scheme for today. We're going to be using Melon Mambo. And I know Pizzazz recently got retired. I know it did. I went round and round with how I wanted my tree to look, and I kept coming back to the Pizzazz. If you have it, great. If you don't, you could stamp off with Old Olive, because if you stamp Old Olive straight, it's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be too dark for this particular card design. You may disagree, more power to you. And then the mossy metal, okay? All right, let's go into what you need to make this card. So I do have a crumb cake card base, 8.5 by 5.5, and it's been scored at 4 1/4. You will need a sheet of Pizzazz. That is, if you have Pizzazz, if not, substitute what you have. Pizzazz that is 4 by 5 1/4, and then I have the basic white regular cardstock. Yeah, see what I'm talking about? See how dark that is, the Old Olive for the background of the tree. And I really didn't want it that dark. You could go really light and do like Granny Apple Green, which would actually be very fitting for this card today, and you'll see why here in a minute. So I didn't like it, but I'm going to turn it over and use this side for the inside of my card, because once we've stamped on it and it's glued down, you can't see that tree, okay? So waste not, want not, right? The only other things you're going to need besides your die cut machine and your trimmer, you are going to need a piece of this. Okay, let me get the back of the package and let me read it to you verbatim. And I'm not going to show you the front of it because it's really intense, guys, in your face. Melon Mambo and Granny Apple Green 12 by 12 foil sheets. And we're going to be using a little bit of the Melon Mambo in this card design as well. So your sheet of foil is going to be cut to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then on top, you want another piece of crumb cake that is cut 4 by 5 1/4. This is a piece that we are going to use that die on. And I forgot to get out any kind of a silicone mat, because I'm going to have my big machine out. This might help. That's awfully small. That might help. So let's just go ahead. Now I have already die cut my little bows that you can see right there out of that Melon Mambo foil, okay? And let's just go ahead and start running some of this stuff through. And let me give you a heads up. We're going to be cutting out some presents to go on the front of our card. And I have just a very small piece of that Granny Apple Green foil. Now, anytime you are die cutting with foil, our plates get really etched. I mean, they just do. And so when you run foil through plates that have already been cut through, the surface is so delicate, and you're going to have all kinds of texture, which can work to your advantage, but you're going to have all kinds of texture, right? So what we're going to do is transfer this to my bottom cutting plate, well used, and I cut another piece of basic white cardstock to lay over the top, and that is going to prevent any etching on my top plate. Now my regular top plate is heavily etched. This one I have only used on white cardstock up to this point, although yeah, it's a little dirty. That's okay. We are going to run this through, and I know you can't see the other end. Sorry about that. I have a hard time getting this big one in the frame. And I could have used mini-me, except for we're going to have to do that tiny Christmas trees die, and it won't fit through the mini-me. And I thought, okay, we're just going to go ahead and, but can you see where that's, and there's, I don't know how well you can pick up on the back side. And let's just go ahead and release our little gifts. And you'll notice when I put down my tape to hold my dies, I'm just on the sides, just on the sides. Did that for a reason, because foil is so delicate. I wanted to make real sure that I didn't have any residue maybe attached, even though these are used strips of mint tape from scrapbook.com. But yeah, all I really need is my dies, because these pieces are so well used, I'm not going to keep them for another go. I mean, they were barely hanging on. They barely had any sticky, but you can see how well that has clung to it. And it did put a little bit of really cute texture in that foil. I think it's cute. That could actually work to your advantage. But that's how you work around your etched plates not leaving an imprint on your die cuts, okay? All right, and once you've actually used a little piece of cardstock for your foil die cutting, it's done. It's done, because if you try to use this again, it will imprint that on your foil. So just a heads up. Now wait a minute, I've got 3 die cuts. Here we go. Just didn't see that one that was close to me. And let me take these and ever so quickly put them back in my case, because we're not going to need them again. So let me do that very fast, make sure they're good and secure. Yeah, these Stampin' Up! Cases, they're not airtight, and they're also, sometimes you'll have, you know, little gaps and things in your case. I mean, it happens. So always check and be sure that you have got everything in there really secure. So if you pick up your case, it's not going to slide through and out of the case. I'm going to lay these over here with my little pink bows, my melon mambo. And you might be asking yourself, why did you not use the parakeet party that is in that? But you'll see why as this card comes together. Now I need to take my piece of crumb cake, and I want to make sure I'm picking up the right piece. I am. And we're going to get out the Merriest, not the Merriest trees, the tiny Christmas tree dies. This is such a versatile thing. You can do so much with it. And again, I hope in future videos that I can explain and create more uses, not only for this cover die. Well, am I getting it lined up? Let me get this lined up to where I'm even top, bottom, side to side. Okay, come up just a titch from the bottom. There we go. Now let's get this on here. Hopefully I won't move it. I did, I moved it. Of course I did. Why didn't I? me sketch that over. Okay, looks good. Looks good. And we're going to run this through and cut out our die. It isn't perfection, is it? Because it's not Hallmark, done by a machine that mass produces everything so perfect. But this is going to be really cute when we get done. And all these little trees that look at that. Not a one stayed stuck in there. Didn't that do so good? And all these little trees that it leaves behind, if you want to save those, I can see where you could, depending on what color cardstock you do, you could do ink blending on a piece of cardstock, so that when you ran that through, you'd have all these little trees. You could use them on a background hill, something like that. Okay. All right, so that's just an idea. It would be a little fiddly, but it would be so adorable. I think I am done with the Big Boss. Let me get this put over to the side. And we are simply gonna take this. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over. We're gonna take this and glue it down. Now, glue and foil are not good friends, okay? They're just not. So I want to be so careful that I do not get glue on my hands, and that I am not using Tombow that is so sticky, because I know for sure I would not have a hope in getting that off. And let's see if I can get this centered straight on here as my backdrop. See if I can. There we go. Yeah, see my phone up there? Oh my goodness, foil will reveal things that you didn't necessarily mean to have revealed, right? And as far as laying this down, just take your glue along your spaces in between. That's all you got to do, like so. I'm going to put a little bit in the corners, just a little bit, because you don't want it gooshing out on your foil. It's a recipe for disaster. So I'm just putting down just enough to hold this. It also helps if your stuff is perfectly flat, your cardstock. Okay. Okay, am I good? And it'll slide around real easy on that foil, so be very careful how much you may have to correct the placement. And it looks like it's time for me to change my blade in my trimmer. I didn't notice that. Okay. All right, so there we go. So far, so good. Now what we're going to get ready to do is we're going to stamp our tree, which is the main focal point. And I just have a piece of basic white here that we are going to use. And I'm going to take, no, I'm going to bring in the Messy Meadow, maybe. And this stamp here is the one that puts the details in. But I'm starting with that, with my darkest color first, because for me anyway, it is easier to stamp down your dark color first. Make sure I've got good coverage. And then go in with your light fill stamp color. So, if that makes sense. It will here in a second. But for me, it's easier to do two-step stamping if I start with my darkest image first. Oh, isn't that pretty? That's so pretty. Now, I do have an issue. I have lost my other E-block, which is the one I am using to get my tree stamp on. And let's clean him off real quick, because I'm going to have to reuse the same block. I even went and looked in my class supplies. Okay, I did. I went and I looked Did I just tear? Oh, no, I didn't tear it. Oh, I'm always so careful when I peel these up when they're big and they can have delicate areas like these trees do. Let me get out my stamp case here. We'll get him put back and we'll get the other one brought out. I've already got the cellophane removed from that top layer. All right. So now here is our solid image, and it is the one we're going to use with the pear pizzazz. And you'll see what I'm talking about, how easy it is to line that up. There we go. Got a little happy with the ink. It's all right. And so now you can really see those dark areas. And let me shift and make sure everything side to side, top to bottom. Gonna let that stay on there for just a second. There we go. Now it does look dark, but in time it will fade out. And let me show you how I know this. Here is my original card, and I say card with quotation marks because I didn't make it into a card. This is simply the card front, and once I designed that, I thought, you know, I can finish that off later. This is good enough for right now. Okay, so that's what we're doing. And I say that will fade. I'm beginning to wonder if I stamped that off once, because it's been over a week since I designed that one. So let's be on the safe side. Let me get, you know what? I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to turn it over, but I do need a little piece of scratch paper, which, what do I have here? Okay, I have the back side of a kit sale that has already come and gone. So, absolutely, I've got to close up my glue bottle here. All right, so there we go. So, let me redo that. I may have stamped that off once, because that does look awfully dark, doesn't it? So, let me bring this back in. We're going to ink this up again. Stamp that off once. See, if I stamp that off once and then I stamp that again, yeah, that might have been what I did. And you wouldn't think the pear pizzazz would be that dark, but it is. So, let me make sure I'm good. I'm going to stamp that off once real quick because I don't want it too pale. And then I'm going to go back in here. And you'll have gradations of tones, some darker, some lighter, and I think that is just awesome for a tree. That is awesome for a tree. All right, I'm not real happy with that. So, let's see if I can pull this off. I have no idea. We're going to ink that up. I'm going to pop that off again. Going to line this up again. And we're going to see if we can fill in a little bit of that. Now, I didn't have this issue the first time. I sure didn't. I didn't. All right, better. We're good. I'm going to go with it. The more you use new photopolymer stamps, the better you'll do. Now, I did stamp mine with, before I used it the first time, I stamped it with Versamark ink and then cleaned it. Then, for good measure, I took my fingers and went over it so that the oils from my skin would also help remove any residue. So, I don't know. I am learning sometimes when I get in here and play in my card room that if air humidity is real high, depending on the weather outside, sometimes that really does affect my stamping. And I'm still checking out that theory, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's put this block over to the side. He is done for right now. And no, he's not. I've got to get out my, dang it. I've got to get out my detail. Now you're going to see it done in reverse, where we stamp this part down first. And now we're going to go in with the dark. And if you're not used to two-step, if you're not used to two-step stamping, or if you're intimidated by what you see from two-step stamping, please overcome that fear, because honestly, it's all good. It is all good. You just hold your breath and just kind of look at where you're at, top and bottom, side to side, and then go for the gold. And the more you do two-step stamping, the easier it will become. So what is wrong with that? Not a thing. Not one thing. So we've got our tree. I'm cleaning this ever so quickly. We have our tree. And now we just need to die cut our little tree and get him ready. Oh, I didn't get it all. Oopsie. So I think what I'm going to do here is just very carefully put a little extra mist on there. There we go. Now we're clean. So now I can, well, we're still not clean. Oh, I got it up underneath. How in the world did I do that? I don't know, but I did. Well, we're going to go ahead and take him off. And y'all know, especially if your photopolymer's got some size to it, don't stretch it. Don't take a hold of it and just rip it up. Take care of your equipment. You know, we spend a lot for these stamps and dies to support the card industry. And shame on you if you're buying them from Temu is all I've got to say. Because intellectual theft is never, ever okay. I don't care. It is not okay. Anyway, that's my rant for today. All right. We can get rid of that. I'll put my mist back up here. Move this out of the way. And we're going to get ready to die cut this. So I need to bring back in my little mat. Try to keep him from wiggling as much as I can. I do have several different silicone mats. And I do because we use them in our in-person classes that I hold twice a month. So, yeah. All right, I'm scraping off all those little trees. I probably should have already had that done, but I didn't. So, all right, here's my platform, my die cutting adapter, my thin die cut adapter, a clear plate. Here's my tree. And I need my tree die. Let's get this out. Guys, all these trees you can individually die cut and they layer together like a dream. That's all I'm saying about that. If you have this set and you've not used it yet, get it out. Go in your card room. Start playing. Find what you like and what works for you. Okay, here's the top plate. We're going to run him through real quick. I don't think it moved. I don't think it did. Well, my stuff is flying over here. My little presents and my bows went everywhere. Oh, I should have just had a silicone mat out to begin with. And, all right, let me get my tree back in here. Back in my case. We're good. All right. And see, I still have enough cardstock left on this. I can still use this for stamping a sentiment or whatever. So I'm not going to throw that away. Okay, I got my tree. Now I should really be done with this. Should really be done with it. So we're just going to put it to the side. And that's how I store mine too, y'all. I keep my plates and everything right in it. And that way there, I'm good to go when I pick it back up. All right, I'm going to have to take my putty end. that doesn't leave a mark, because some of these really flipped far and wide. Turn this one back over. And where did my third one go? Oh man, there he is. There he is. Okay, so there we go. There we go. Yeah, that's the reason why I am seriously thinking about getting a crystal katana. You don't have that issue of it not wanting to let go. Okay. All right, so here we have this. And at this point, I'm going to bring in my tweezers, and we're going to start gluing the presents down. So on this long one, you can stand it up, you can go sideways, in any way you want to do it. But I'm looking at my original to see if I put dimensionals behind the tree, and I think I did. So let's do that real quick. Let's get dimensionals and put behind this tree, and we'll get him down first, because honestly, it is the focal point. The gifts are only accents on the front of the card, as well as a little bit of that foil showing through. And I wanted to start bringing in some of this metallic foil that we have been blessed with from Stampin' Up, because I know and I realize that using foil sometimes can be a challenge. However, as long as you know the ground rules, it's not that big a deal. It's not. So just protect when you're die cutting. And let's see here. This is too long enough. I'm using my bones. I'll put that there across the bottom, and I think that works. So here we go. See how I'm marking them with a Sharpie? You know, I could see that I didn't have to try to remove a backing off of that because it was already gone. I don't always remember to do it myself, but when I do, and you're having to use several dimensionals on a project, it really does help. So if you've not seen that tip from me before, there you go. So I'm going to take this, and I'm honestly going to make sure the very bottom row of trees is not covered and the very top row is not covered, and that it's standing straight. So now we can put him on there. And I can already see there was something I left out of the repertoire. And I don't know if I can find them real quick. Oh, I've had them and I've used them and I've moved them around, but the little star that goes right on top, do I have that handy? Yes, here they are. So you will have seen these in the new mini catalog, and they are called adhesive back star trinkets, and it worked really well. It goes in that suite with the Night Divine, Oh Holy Night, but it made a really, really sweet star for the top of the tree. So yes, we're going to do that. And let's go ahead and I don't need this. Well, I do need that, but I need a bow. When you get ready to put glue on your little bows, you're only going to want glue on the bottom of the ribbon. So this bottom part right here, because the bow part itself on top is going to stick up a little bit. And again, we're being mindful as to how much glue we're using. And if you get too much, just take your finger and dab it off. Okay. And I'm going to sit this one right there. And I'm going to give him time to adhere. So I'm going to kind of move him to the side. I'm going to bring in another one. Another bow. Same. Do your glue just down on the bottoms of the ribbon. And I'm looking to see if I think I have too much. I think I do have a little too much right there. Okay, and there is that one. Put that, press that down really well, make sure it's making good contact. Gonna bring in our other one here. Get my last little bow. Okay. And we'll be done getting those put together. Okay. And I think I'm gonna pop him up and put that little bow right on top. But can you see how these different, we've got 3 shades of green going on here. The foil is Granny Apple Green. The background of the tree is Pear Pizzazz. And the shadows are in Mossy Meadow, okay, to give it definition. But I thought they all 3 worked really well together. And because metallic foils can be so intense, we have to find ways that we can use these and it not be too in your face, right? So I'm going to take and put a little bit of glue on the back there. And I didn't wait long enough for it to dry, did I? I didn't. So now I get to do that again. If it's still wet, it is not still wet. All right, hang on, guys. Y'all never do this, right? This never happens to you. Okay. I got to get it back right where I had it to cover up that little bit of glue. Let me caution you, if you get glue on your foil that is going to be visible, you're not going to get it off. You can't use an adhesive eraser or anything to get that off. And if somebody out there knows of a way to do that without marring the foil, because basically that's all it does. It just mars the foil. And I'm going to be real careful with this one. Make sure I'm giving this time to set up and not flip that bow off of there. I'm just going to put this one somewhere right in here. I prefer, if I'm going to be into one of the trees, to just totally cover the whole tree up instead of being half on, half off. I think it just makes for a cleaner design. However, you do you. We're all so unique and different. I love my card classes because those women can take a sample card idea and they can totally make it into something else that is equally or better, I feel, a design when push comes to shove. All right, do I need my glue for the second? I don't know. We've got a little bit of stamping to do. All right, so I'm going to bring out my 2 inner panels. And what I did is I wanted to bring in, I'm looking here to see if I'm lined up, and I'm lined up and I'm straight. I told you we were going to be using Night Divine, and I want to use Glory to God in the Highest for the inside of the card, and I'm going to stamp it in the Melon Mambo. Now, I noticed, even though I felt like I did a really good job getting my label on my stamp, it wasn't stamping straight. And I actually adjusted it a little bit because it tended to stamp going downhill. And to me, that looks like now it's definitely going uphill. But it was still going downhill just a little bit. And so I've got just this that came out of that set of photopolymer stamps. And so I'm just going to lay it on top. And I'm going to take this and see if I can stamp this straight. And of course, I'm not standing right over it. Let's see. That looks pretty straight. All right. I'll put some stamping mist on that and clean that off so that I can reuse it. I've already used it quite a bit in my craft room. So, cross your fingers that this stamp's straight. And it actually is going uphill just a little bit, but you know what? We're good. We are good. You could do other stamping on the inside of this if you wanted to. Bring some of those elements in from the stamp set and really go to town on decorating the inside of your card. Right, so I've got that. I'm going to put that to the side. I'm going to glue this on now. Oh my goodness. Let's get this in here. Got a little something right there. I don't know what that is. Kind of feels like a glue booger. Oh, you gotta love them, right? Gotta love them. All right, just how bad is that? Anyway, moving on. We're gonna glue this inside the card. And guys, when you're in your room and you're creating and things don't come out 100% right, like what I just did, those people you give a card to, they don't care. They're not the ones that had to create it and spend their time and their energy putting it together. They are the recipient of a handmade card, which means you thought a lot of them, right? Now, we do have a sentiment we're going to put on the inside. And once upon a time, I had a handy-dandy scrap of crumb cake that I was going to use. I'll use this one. So, we're going to do some heat embossing. And I'm going to take my anti-static bag and just very carefully put a light coating. You know, I think, too, I used to just really pounce hard and heavy and really get that powder going. And I found out you really don't have to do all that. So now I have my Versamark ink here. And what I'm doing is I am inking up, hoping your home is filled with the spirit of the season. And then when they open it, they read, "Glory to God in the highest." So I'm just going to stamp this right up here. Give that just a second to kind of cling to the cardstock. And make sure it's all clinging from one end to the other. Look at there, you can actually see that. Isn't that awesome? All right, let me get out my white embossing powder. And we'll get this heat set and cut out and put on the front of our card. But then we're not done yet. We still have one more thing to do, or actually two more things to do. So let me bring this over here where you can see what I'm doing, my heavens. Okay, sometimes I have a hard time realizing when I'm doing these videos, I'm not at a card class where they're standing there, you know, watching everything. So, yeah, I got to make sure I'm in camera. So that looks pretty good. Before I go any further, I'm going to put my lid back on here. Love these fancy embossing powder containers. Hey, they work and they're airtight. And I don't have to worry about it falling apart when I pick it up. And it was free. Well, it wasn't free. You know you're paying for that when you buy the lunch meat, right? But they're scarcer than hen's teeth in my house now because I don't buy lunch meat anymore. All right, so over to the side, out of your ear as much as I can get it. I'm going to heat up this and make sure I've got some good heat. You know, sometimes if you don't preheat it first, when you get ready to hit it with the heat, you can actually blow some of that powder off. You can see it changing. I gotta move my fingers. Woo. Probably ought to bring, yep, I'm gonna bring my tweezers in to hold this because I want you to see the magic. Isn't that neat? That is so neat. See it? It never gets old, guys. It never gets old. Love, 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 love it. Oh, and just a quick heads up. If you hear mowing or weed eating or anything, that is my wonderful husband doing his marvelous magical touch with an unruly yard. And our weather has just been so muggy. So muggy. And there have been times when he had a chance to maybe get the yard done. It might grow up a little bit because it's too wet to mow. It's too wet to weed eat. So this time of the year can be a bit challenging. I didn't find a dye that I wanted to use. And so I'm just going to hand cut this. And when I go to hand cut, I don't always cut it as close as I need to the very first time. Sometimes I have to go around it yet one more time. So we'll see how this comes out. Am I balanced? I think I'm pretty balanced there. I think so. Top and bottom, end on end. Okay. And I think we're good, and I think we're going to leave that just like that. And I've got another nice piece of crumb cake I can use on something else. Okay. So, you know, again, don't always have to have... I popped this up on dimensionals, so I'm going to turn this over. But we don't always have to have dyes for sentiments and things like that, do we? Now, once upon a time, I had the bare remnants left of some dimensionals, if I can find where I laid them in my mess. And it is a mess. I've got embossing powder and the embossing buddy and my tweezers and my bone folder and my mounted stamps and my take your pick tool and my glue. I'm not seeing them. Where in the world did they go? Ah, here they are, way over on my left-hand side. So, what we want to do, this is popped up on dimensional, so this top part here is going to be laying up there. So really, we only want dimensionals along the very bottom, and this time I'm being very careful how I flip that over. And let me get my paper snips back out. We're going to chop some of this up and get this on here. I'm not sure how many I'll need. Oops. Well, I'm going to use it because I don't want to waste it. So I'm going to stick this here on the bottom. That's more of a square, isn't it? We're going to cut that in half because I'm not wasting these, guys. I know y'all think I'm crazy for how many dimensionals I'll put behind something. And you don't have to use as many as I do, obviously. You don't. Then here's this one. Okay. Now, we're going to cut this in half, and this might be the last piece we need. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Guys, I'm enjoying not having to do any gardening. I know. I feel guilty saying that. I had so much fun gardening a little bit this year, and I'll be ready to go again next year. And I'm already ordering flower seeds and stuff for next year. I'm kind of being cheap right now, so rather than going and buying like asters and mums and all that, I've actually got 2 mum plants in my front flower garden that I need to go out there and look at because they already had flower buds on them. I ordered them from a company called Grow Joy, and I got a vanilla and a coppersmith, one of each, plant. Oh, let me tell you, anything I've ever ordered from this company, Grow Joy, they're amazing when they get to you, the way they package them, how healthy they are. They're awesome. I've not had a failure yet. But anyway, I do have flower seeds to get. Whoops. There we go. There we go. All right, guys, what do you think? What do you think? Isn't that awesome? So you're using that foil. No, I didn't bother trying to want to die cut out of my foil to make it go further. Guys, every time we get one of these good ideas, take it with a grain of salt. Yes, you absolutely can do that if you're using your foil a lot. If foil is intimidating for you and hard for you to come up with ideas and ways to use it, just go ahead and use a solid piece. You paid for it, right? Just go ahead and use that and make a wow card for that special someone on your Christmas card list or that special family member. But we're not done yet. So I don't remember exactly which of the new bling I used on this card front, okay? Don't remember. However, the more I looked at it, and I mean, it's okay, but the more I looked at it, the more I thought, I need something. It's got a little bit more. And so these are from the 2022 to 2024 in color pearls. And we're just going to start to decorate our tree. And I simply kind of attacked it like a pyramid. So I'm going to start down here and I'm going to put 3 on this layer. Kind of sort of straight. Doesn't matter if they stagger each other a little bit. I mean, truly, it doesn't. It doesn't. We stagger on our regular trees too, right? They're not just even Steven everywhere. And then I came in between the 2 on the right. Stuck one in there. Came in between the 2 on the left and stuck one on there. And then I just put the one here because we're going to get out our little stars. I should have already had them out. I'm so sorry. Let me turn to the side and try not to crinkle too bad in your ear. Try not to. So here we go. Aren't they gorgeous? I love these. Love these. And I'm going to pick out one of the bigger ones instead of the smaller ones, because I think this tree can handle a bigger star. Ooh, I slid. Oh my goodness. I read something cute last winter. And I don't remember who posted it. It might have been like scrapbook.com, somebody like that. But it said, it was icy wherever they lived. And it said, be careful out there. My car just slid again into the parking lot of the local craft store. So I thought that was cute and that was funny. And I hadn't forgot that. All right. So, and maybe that is what I used. Look how the tones changed from the white background. They're a little bit more muted. And actually, this color is Sweet Sorbet, and we've got Melon Mambo going on. But, hey, I still think it works. All right, guys. Y'all be good. Be safe. Be blessed. Enjoy your weekend coming up. Know that you are loved. God is good all the time. Bye.